What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In the Shop with NastyNotch. Here with the mutt again, as you guys seen from the last video. And today we're going to be getting into some interior repair along the floorboards, cleaning it up, prepping it, getting it painted, also fixing some holes that are in there. A lot of these cars, with them being, the last Foxbody that was actually made, at least this body style, would have been 93. So, they're all over 20 years old. They've been tweaked on a lot. They've been hammered on, whooped on, beat. And so the floorboards take a lot of use and abuse over them being a unibody car. They get a lot of stress on them and things like that. So we want to go through, clean it all up, get it all prepped so that way it's all nice fresh metal, because I also have a set of subframe connectors, later date, we're going to take and be putting in underneath this car and welding them all in and everything. So let's get to it. I'll show you guys what we're going to be doing first. Okay, so first things first, as you guys had seen from the last video, the inside of this thing is a wreck from me working on it. It's been sitting in storage for a while outside. So the first step, we need to go through, clean all this crap up, get it all out of here, so that way we're down to just the floor pans, so we can see what we're working with and what we're going to have to take and do. So basically, now that I've went through and moved all the big crap out of the car, I'm going to take this little broom, basically dustpan, I'm going to go through and try to sweep up all the stuff, because there's a lot of sound deadener and things that I've pulled up off the floor from going and welding in here before. So I'm basically going to try to sweep all that up so it's a little cleaner for us to take and work on. Okay, so now that we've went through and removed a majority of the crap off of the floorboards, we can start to come in a little bit and see what we're working with. A lot of surface rust on this one basically around here. The back of it actually looks like it's been tweaked a little bit. Looks like it's actually been pushed up. We might have to look into that and see what's going on. Other than that, up front, there is a little bit of a hole right here that we are going to have to get into fix. It's really hard to see right now at the moment. Like I had said from the previous video, somebody had been goobing around with the trans tunnel, and they'd actually done a really nice number on that, put a big old gaping hole up in there for us to have to fix, and lots of little Swiss cheese holes all around the shifter. So we'll have to go in there and take a look at that. the passenger side, as I climb into the car here a little bit, you can see we got a little broken spot in the floorboard over here. So we're gonna have to take and come in and fix this. Other than that, lots of surface rust. There's a little spot right here. That's basically why we came through and cleaned everything up. So that way we could come in and actually see what the damage is, what we have to work with, and what we have to take and fix, so we can make it a lot better, because other than that, it's just gonna fall apart. We really don't want that to happen. So looks like a little bit of the actually insulation's coming apart. Really old stuff. It's gonna do that. It's gonna fall apart, come right out of there. I might have to go in and clean up some seams and weld them back together just to make sure everything's nice and tight. Up front, basically on the passenger side, a little bit of the same going on. There's some nasty crud up there. There's actually a little hole we're gonna have to get in and fix, clean all that up. Other than that, we're gonna take and sand all this back down, grind it, scuff it all up. We'll prime it and paint the whole floor in here too, and get that already nice and clean. Let's see, other than that, there is a spot from, I don't know what it was, either some big person or something sitting there. That's actually one of the seat bolts, and they've re-welded it multiple times and goobered it all up. I'm actually gonna cut this right out, clean this spot all up, re-weld this stud back in place so it's in there for the seat, and then actually have to stitch this all back together. So that'll be one of the things that we also have to do to this. But at this point in time, basically I'm gonna come in, take a flapper wheel, show you guys some of the things that I actually got to do this project first, and we'll come in, we'll start cleaning up some of the surface rust, certain spots, and I'll show you guys how that's all done. So like I was saying before, I'll go through and show you guys kind of the bare minimum of the things that I ended up picking up to work on this project and clean the floor up and everything. First off, I went up to Walmart. I picked up some automotive primer and also just some regular gloss black, just some cheap spray paint there. Other than that, I picked up some flapper discs. I actually got an 80 grit here and a 60 grit. The 60 grit is actually already installed on the grinder, as you guys can see. That's a 4.5 inch grinder there. So that should be able to make pretty good work of the surface rust and everything like that. Other than that, a pair of gloves, and as always, because I'm going to be grinding, a pair of safety glasses, because that's a lot easier than taking a trip to the hospital with some rust or some metal in your eye. I've been there and you don't want to do that shit. So let's get to it. Alright, now some of the first stuff that we're actually going to take and clean up are going to be some spots that we're actually not going to really have to do much repair to. They're still pretty solid. It's just got some surface rust on it. So we're going to just have to basically take and clean that up. You can see it flaking off right there. Clean all that kind of stuff up. But then we'll be able to take and paint those sections over. I won't get too deep into it. I'm not going to get back into the sections that we're going to have to actually take and do repair to, any of the whole sections yet. I'm going to save that for a later video on how we're going to do basically panel repair and stuff like that, making patch panels. So basically, to start this, I'm going to take and remove some of the wiring out of the way, so that way we can get in here. Not have to worry about gnarling stuff up. That there. Make sure I set that back so I don't lose this screw. Back in there, pull this clip up, pull the wiring harness out of the way a little bit. Also, one of the things I didn't say in the other video is this car, being an 84, was carbureted, and we did do a full EFI conversion to it, including the fuel tank, the fuel lines, and the full wiring harness from an 89 car. So that's one of the things I didn't say on the beginning video of the car that I feel is probably a little bit necessary to know. See if we can get this plug out without doing too much damage to it, which it looks like we're already going to gnarl it up. See if we can get underneath it. Work it around a little bit. There we go. She came out. Not too bad. Set that off to the side and actually get some of the junk to fall through the floor there, which is not too bad. Now we got our wiring out of the way. Set the tools off to the side. We'll come in here with a flapper wheel and start cleaning her all up. Alright, so now we got our grinder all set up. Like I said, it's got a 4.5 inch flapper wheel on it. It's 60 grit. And we're going to put our safety glasses on so we don't get anything in our eyes. Other than that, for basically extra protection, you could also wear like a respirator or a face mask or something like that. I don't have one kicking around, but it is also a good idea so you don't breathe any of this stuff in. And as you guys can see, I'm bringing the camera real quick. Try to get the light on it as good as I can also. The before here and the after there, way big difference. That flapper wheel takes and will strip that stuff right down really nice, right back to bare metal. So we can take and clean this all up a little bit more, and then we'll take and be able to take and prime this and then get paint on it also. We're gonna end up doing a gloss black on the floor. Nobody's really gonna see it anyways. But I want to clean all this stuff up before it just kept eating at it and ends up causing more holes and everything down the line. And I'll take and show you guys again real quick where she's at now. Try to set the camera up a little bit. See if I can't bring the light over. It'll let me get a little closer for you guys. You can see just how nice this cleans the metal up. This little 4-inch flap wheel there, 4.5 inch. That is just, wow. Cleans all that stuff up. Now there's a little bit more we're going to go in and clean up, but for a quick clean, you guys can see how it just is removed all that rust. Got us back down to bare metal so we can take and prime that and be able to paint it and prevent that from happening again. Alright, so you guys haven't missed too much. I just kind of kept going crazy on the grinding. So you can see the garage is filled with like dust from rust and everything else. You guys can see where we are on the floor now. It's actually cleaned up very nicely from the just the little flapper wheel that we've had. Got a lot of stuff scattered all over here, so I actually have to grab the little broom and go through and clean it all up again, but that was gonna have to happen anyways. So you guys can see though, it's taken a lot of the stuff from where it was before, cleaned it up really nicely, so we can start to see if there's any damage, any holes. We actually have one right here. Try to show that to you guys real quick. There's one right there on the end of that. So I'm gonna have to plug that one up, clean it all up and everything. Other than that, it's actually not too bad on this side. There's a little spot back in the very back here. Way back here next to my finger there. Other than that, a lot of it was just surface rust. We just had to go through and use that flapper wheel and clean all up. But other than that, the inside of the car is completely a mess now. It is filled with tons of dust from grinding, and oh my god, it is nasty. It is nasty to breathe in. That's why I said you definitely might want to wear a respirator to do this, guys. I'm going to be cleaning this stuff out of my nose for the next like week, more than likely, so not fun. Alright, so it's the next night in the shop. Last night it was just way too cloudy with all the shit. It was really bad. I was breathing all that in, so I actually went, picked up a little sanding respirator here, got a couple of them, so that way I'm not breathing all the shit in. It's still really messy inside the car. But as you guys can see from where we got just on the driver's side, where we were just a little bit ago, is we put it down there quite a bit. Really nice, cleaned it all up. There's still a little bit of grit and dust on it, as you guys can see from my fingertips just touching it. But we're going to take a wire wheel also. I'm going to do a little bit more with the flapper in a couple spots, probably right around this area. I've also removed this plug out so that way we can sweep some of the stuff out onto the floor. Clean up some of this, and then we'll come in with a little wire wheel, and then we're actually going to get into little nooks and crannies that are a lot harder to get into than they are with the flapper. So we'll take and get into all that and try to clean her up some more before we take and put some primer on it. Alright, so now we're back in the car. Like I said, I'm going to come in with the flapper wheel, clean some more of this up, and then we're going to come in and I'll show you guys what I'll be using. After the flapper wheel, I'm going to come in with just this little wire brush, basically. Turn the light a little bit more so you guys can see it. Just a little wire wheel on the end of a drill so that we can get into some of the tighter spots. Clean all that up too. Almost forgot I bought one of these. Now for the wire brush. Okay, so at the moment, I've went through and I've just kind of blown out the car with some air, tried to get a lot of the debris out and everything. It was really a mess getting it in here, but now you guys can see where we are. Went through with the wire wheel, the flapper wheel, cleaned it up a little bit. There is a few things on here because basically what I'm doing at the moment, so I'm going through like a dentist, and I'm using a little teeny flathead screwdriver. Try to show it to you guys, just a little teeny one. And I'm just kind of poking around and prodding on the floor, looking for cavities, looking for rust spots, seeing where weak points are so that way we can go through and fix them. Obviously we got one over here. I mean, it actually seems like everything around that's actually not too bad, so just a little spot in the center. Should be able to plug weld that up. We also have one down over here on this side as I was poking around. Found this little hole down there, a little cavity. Basically just hitting any spot that looks like it's got some rust on it or anything like that. You know, I'm gonna hammer on it a little bit. Make sure that you hit it pretty good. See it, you know, make sure that it's solid. Even back here. It's actually not too bad at all, guys. I've seen cars a lot worse than this. Like I was hoping it was, is actually just a lot of surface rust that was on the top of it. So I'm going to go through, blow it out. We're actually going to get ready to throw some primer on it for right now. Then we already see our problematic areas. We got one here, we've got one here, and we've got one on the backhand side over here that we're going to have to take care of way back there. And this is actually two different pieces of metal that come together, and they have a seam sealer inside of them underneath there, and a they're actually spot welded in. So what we're probably going to end up doing is cutting this out and replacing it with one piece of metal with a 90-degree bend in it. But we'll get to that later on. For right now, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to blow this all out now that we've kind of found our problematic areas. And we'll get ready to lay a little bit of primer on it so that way it doesn't start rusting again and getting any surface on it. Alright, so now that we've got everything all cleaned up here in the area, all of our metal's down to bare. We found our little spots that we're going to have to fix up. We're going to take and cover the metal now at least with some primer. I've got some Rust-Oleum automotive primer. So take this, we're going to lay down a nice thin coat of it and just kind of cover it up for right now. I'm not going to put too much on because we're still going to come back in and cut these areas out and actually have to patch all those in and the one in the back too. Shake her up real good. Run my sweet mask. It's awesome. What the fuck? Okay, the top came off the can. Whatever, we're good. We good, we good. All right, we're gonna let it dry for a little bit, and then we're gonna come back, probably lay one more small one on it just to make sure that it's got enough, and then we should be good to go. All right, so we gave it about 20 minutes to dry. It's actually not too bad right now. There's a couple spots that are still a little bit tacky, but we're gonna come in, we're gonna give it a second coat just to kind of take and cover it up a little bit more. Other than that, I already really know where the spots are that we have to fix, so I don't really have to highlight those or anything. But we'll take and put a second coat on it just so we can cover it up a little bit more so nothing happens to it. When you're sitting here watching the paint dry, you might as well get yourself something to eat and something to drink, because it's a pretty boring process. But we're getting there, little by little. Okay, so now that the paint has basically dried on that side, which you guys can kind of see, it's come out pretty nice. Just for a couple coats of primer onto it. Looks pretty good. We can still go in there and we'll be able to cut out the spots that we need, but we know the rest of it's not going to end up getting any surface rust or anything now. We've cleaned it all off, it's been prepped, and it's been primed. So that's the good thing. So now we can do the same thing over here. We've got the grinder out, the flapper wheel on it, and we're going to get ready to start hammering on this. We're going to move from the back section. After we get that done, I'm going to move right into the front section, and I'm also going to hit the front section on the driver's side up underneath the pedals and everything like that. So get ready, guys. Here we go. This is going to be fun. So face mask, safety glasses. The dust is going to fly. Alright, so now we've come through, we've cleaned everything all up with the flapper wheel. We've come in with the little wire brush there on the end of the drill. We've cleaned everything up in the little nooks and crannies we couldn't get to. Then take and go through and do the same thing we did on that side, same exact steps. Then take and throw in a coat of primer down on it, and then just seal up all the bare metal that's basically now exposed. So. Alright everybody, we just finished up the second coat of paint. I'm going to let everything dry overnight. As you can see, we've got both sides of the front done, both sides of the back done now. So now that all the bare metal is prepped, we'll be able to go through and see all our really hazard spots that we have to go through, cut out, make patch panels, fix, so on and so forth. I am exhausted. I'm completely covered in crap from head to toe. Both of my hands are covered, and this is what my face mask looked like at the end of the day. The inside is nice and clean. The outside is completely covered. So I'm going inside to get cleaned up, get some sleep. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe for the next one. Check us out on all of our social media pages down in the description below, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a good one. Peace out. As you guys can see, we've got the mutt in the garage. Today basically I just want to go through and show you guys the car, where it sits, what's done to it, and basically give you the plan of what we're going to be doing from here on out to the car.